I want to take a few calls for you, Bob. And then Dr. Monteith is a great guy. We love having him on the show. He never contacts us, though, and says, hey, I want to come on. I've got some breaking news, so it must be important. He'll be popping in with us, and you'll be riding shotgun to give your view on it and your participation that is always valued. But I wanted to raise this point for you, Bob. Bombshell. FEMA camps confirmed. Rendition hubs discovered. And we have this report about these centers they're building at airports and transportation hubs that are their own little FEMA camps to then send people off to different areas where they can be tortured or killed or disappeared or re-educated. And the government now admits they're doing this. I mean, it's just total certification that they're dangerous, lawless, armed and dangerous crooks who stage terror attacks as the pretext to overthrow the republic. I mean, that's now all a fact. No one can deny it. But what do you make of the rollout here? I've got one out of the Miami Herald. Florida proposes using ballparks and stadiums as homeless shelters. This is what we've always said. They're going to roll out the camps at first during the collapse as great places. Thank goodness they were there to take care of you. And then there are areas where the troublemakers are kept. And now that's all confirmed in the Emergency Centers Act and all of this. What's your view on this?
Well, I think it's a lead up, and we saw that, I think it was in Denver at the football game, and where they rounded up the kids and put them in one place and put the parents in another, and you had to comply or you didn't get your kids back. Same concept. Like in Florida, lots of people, homeless, being put on, we'll say, baseball fields, as you mentioned. Next step is we can't have you be there anymore. We send you to a camp in Arkansas, which is better equipped to take care of you, one of their internment camps, or some such place. And I think that's the next step. And that'll probably come, I don't think it's going to come quickly. It'll take a while. Probably a year and a half, to somewhere in that time frame.
Well, you're right, and that's how they introduce it. So the police at first, and all the drills I've been to that I have in films like Police Day 2000 and others, they have the role players saying, I'm an American, don't take my guns, but let me in the camp. The people are fighting to get into the camp. So they sell the psychology to the police and military like, you're lucky to be getting in the camp. But then there are troublemakers that also get forcibly taken. So it's all about selling it, just like TV sells torture and secret arrests now. You know, just selling cyanide like it's mother's milk.
Making it acceptable.
Making it acceptable.
Logical.
Yeah. Well, Bob, do you think people are going to go along with this?
Gee, I'm afraid I think most of them will.
See, I had just forgotten.
And I think you got to understand their state, too. They're out of jobs. They don't have a house. They don't have any vehicles. They're living on a baseball field. You know, how can it get any worse? Government take care of me. And sure, we'll send you that camp over there. The facilities are much better. And that to go to the camp.
And that just sets the precedent to build the archipelago of camps and have the public rollout for them. But you just mentioned Denver. I'd forgotten we sent reporters to that citywide drill and discovered they were busing the kids to the camp. And then we found the Washington Post article from years before where it said in emergencies, the state's going to take your kids from you until you turn your guns in, Bob. That's right out of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that program was on when I was on that day.
Wow.
We had all the feedback on the station here. So that's how I knew about it.
Wow, I'd forgotten about it. You know you're in trouble when there's so much tyranny you can't even keep track of it all. Ronnie in Texas, you're on with Bob Chapman. Go ahead.
Boy, thank you, Bob. I appreciate the chance to talk to you. I'm afraid we might disagree on this one idea, and that is mood alteration, which is old as mankind, and selective persecution, i.e. prohibition, is now the tax-free cash cow of organized crime thugs. So could that possibly be a way to defeat these evil forces?
You're talking about decriminalizing marijuana or drugs, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Bob, what would that do to the New World Order?
Well, it'll take a lot of income away from them. The numbers are astronomical. $5 billion or $500 billion a year, whatever it is.
Yes, 500 bill.
They certainly do not want the legalization of any kind of drug other than prescription drugs from companies which they control and own the stock in.
That's right. Stay there, Bob. Dennis wants to talk to you, too. We've got Dr. Monteith popping in as well. Stay with us. The websites are Infowars.com, Prisonplanet.tv, GCNlive.com, and TheInternationalForecaster.com is Bob's excellent site.
We're on the mark.
The antidote to mind control. That is Infowars.com. Don't forget, we'll be back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m., live on the radio. I'll drive into the office and do the show. There's always so much news. And tonight, 7 o'clock, Infowars Nightly News with your host, Aaron Dykes. I did it 4 nights this week. He's doing it tonight. Got some big news this evening. Up at Infowars.com, we've got some breaking news. TSA, the greatest liars on earth. That article just published by Kurt Nimmo minutes ago, and it's an article written around the article that Aaron Dykes and I put out that I got to say is probably one of the most powerful little video reports that Aaron and I have ever done, and there's been some powerful ones that have been watched hundreds of millions of times together online. But this TSA, the greatest liars on earth, like P.T. Barnum, the greatest show on earth, you want to get this video out to everybody. This is coffin nails, cyanide to their lies. It is sunshine to vampires. It is really powerful. We premiered it earlier here on the radio, but with the video evidence of their lies, it is mind-blowing, including Obama's lies, Homeland Security lies. And Janet admits she sees our articles on Drudge and hates them, and Homeland Security's really pulling their hair out. The TSA's responded to us. TSA either says, hey, we're not all bad, no, it's wrong, we just need a job, or they now get in my face, or they say, I like the show, but you're wrong and you're bad. So I mean, they're certainly getting the message. And again, you average TSA people, I know most of you just want a job. The average brown shirt in Nazi Germany wanted that too. I'm sure the average Soviet minion wanted that as well. So please, folks, a call to action. Get TSA, greatest liars on earth, out to everybody. And also our FEMA camp rendition centers confirmed, identified article as well. Just incredible news coming up by the minute. Now, Bob Chapman's riding shotgun with us for the rest of the hour. We'll take a few more calls as well. And I was just thinking about getting Dr. Monteith on for an hour, in the near future. But calling up and getting him on, he's a talk show host in his own right and a busy guy. But rarely does he contact us with something that he says is breaking from a CFR source. And, of course, he is a retired medical doctor, somebody fighting the globalists for almost 50 years. He's worked in Santa Cruz, again, for decades. He led a delegation of physicians from Santa Cruz County to the House Delegates of California Medical Association. For 10 years, he led the fight within organized medicine in California to address the AIDS epidemic as a medical issue rather than a civil rights issue. He wrote the book AIDS, The Unnecessary Epidemic, the widely circulated pamphlet To Deceive a Nation, and more recently, A Nation Deceived and Betrayed. He also wrote Brotherhood of Darkness. His public health approach to HIV epidemic was eventually accepted by the California Medical Association. Dr. Monteith currently spends 5 hours daily on syndicated radio across the United States. And again, he's published voluminous documents and articles and papers. And he joins us now with another gentleman who's been fighting tyrants for close to 50 years, Bob Chapman, who rides shotgun with us from the International Forecaster every single week. Bob's website's theinternationalforecaster.com. And, of course, Dr. Stan Monteith's website is radioliberty.com. Okay, good to have you, Dr. Stan Monteith. What is going on, my friend?
Well, very rarely do we really get an insight into what the people within the CFR are thinking. I mean, there are a lot of articles in Foreign Affairs magazine, but what are these people on the inside really thinking and planning? And, of course, one of the things that's being used against Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul today, is the fact that he's anti-Israel. He doesn't want to attack Iran. He wants to take away their foreign aid. Therefore, we should back one of the other establishment candidates. Of course, the important point that the Congressman Ron Paul brings out is we shouldn't be attacking Iran. We should stop funding Israel's enemies. I mean, we give Israel's enemies $12 billion a year. We give Israel $3 billion a year. We control their foreign policy. We dominate Israel, which is not good for Israel. We ought to let them be free and look after themselves, be a friend with them.
Well, I agree with you, Dr. Shannon. You're going to get to what the CFR guy is saying here in a moment. But now Israel's got actual political groups running ads against Ron Paul because he wants to cut off $3 billion. That's a foreign government through subsidiaries and proxies running ads in America inside of our political process. I think that's illegal.
Well, I think it's illegal, and basically it's the worst thing in the world for Israel. If you hate Israel, why you certainly want to defeat Ron Paul and you want to attack Iran, why? What is it? What are we talking about? We're talking about the plan that was laid out. You can read it in the January, February issue of Foreign Affairs magazine. It's written by a man. His name is Matthew Kronig. He was formerly a chief advisor to the Secretary of Defense up until July of last year. And now he is the Stanton Nuclear Security Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, the assistant professor at Georgetown University. But last week, they had a little conference there, private conference, at the Council on Foreign Relations headquarters. And since I'm part of the media, why they sent me the opportunity to get the actual minutes of what was said. So I wanted to see what this man said in private. His name is Matthew Kronig. And if you read this article in Foreign Affairs magazine, he says this. Number one, Iran has not decided whether to build a bomb or not. Number two, Iran is not building a bomb. Number three, if Iran did start to build a bomb, if Iran said they should keep the international investigators out, International Atomic Energy people inspect, if they should do any of these things, decide to build a bomb, start to build a bomb, start to enrich uranium, then we ought to attack them. And then going from that point of view, his article is time to attack Iran. Well, basically, of course, you read the article, it doesn't make any sense. First of all, they're not trying to build a bomb. They haven't decided to build a bomb, but we ought to attack them because they would be such a danger if they should ever get a bomb.
Well, Doctor, obviously you're concerned about this. We all are. For those that don't know, Israel has come out and says that they see Iran's threat to close the Strait of Hormuz as an empty threat. But meanwhile, the London Guardian is reporting Iran to restart IAEA nuclear talks. UN nuclear inspectors are due to begin 3 days of meetings in Tehran on Sunday, the first such talks over 3 weeks. Kissinger was in the news yesterday with the headline. In fact, pull it up, guys, please. If you don't hear the drums of war, you're deaf. So clearly the war is on, and I think Iran understands that right now and may try to come to the table. But the way some of the hawks are behaving in Israel and the U.S., they're acting like they don't care what Iran does. They want this as a political diversion. What's your take on that? How do we stop this? And then I want to get Bob Chapman waiting in the wings, his take.
Well, first of all, we are already at war with Iran.
That's right.
I don't care what anybody says. Oh, when, of course, you actually are paying terrorist groups to go into Iran and to kill people